people to see my face right now, but don't worry about it. It's approaching 6 in the morning, and I wanted to share something with you guys that I realized. Javante Tank Davis is going to be taking on Mario Barrios. First of all, there's an interesting fight on that fight card that I think is worth the while watching. Erickson Lubin versus Jason Rosario. Jason Rosario was the former unified WBA IBF world champion. He lost to Jamal Charlo, beat J Rock Williams. J Rock Williams will be on the undercard as well. He's facing a guy I don't know who he is. But we also have Erickson Lubin. Erickson Lubin is a very good southpaw fighter. So to see Rosario versus Lubin would be very, very interesting. So I'm looking forward to that fight on that card. But also, in and of itself, the card between, um, you know, Tank and Mario Barrios. I looked at Mario Barrios. He's coached by Virgil Hunter. The guy can fight on the inside. He's a very good body puncher, and he can also fight on the outside. He also can throw punches from mid-range. He uses his reach very well. He has really good timing and very nice foot placement. Now, he's not the sharpest tack in the building, and he works off of a rhythm. Um, but what I like is his timing. Um, now he's long, he's rangy, he's huge. Okay, Tank is 5 foot 5.5, the 67-inch reach. This guy is 5 foot 10.5 with a 72-inch reach. That's that's extraordinarily long and tall, and he's a big. I mean, he is a big, solid junior welterweight. He could easily be a welterweight. He could be fighting with Errol Spence and those guys. He's big. He's really huge. He's like a Josh Taylor. Now, is he as sharp as Tank? No, but he is long. He's very, very long. So sometimes when you see a long fighter throw a punch, you know, he's fast, but you don't realize how fast he is because you're watching the hand go all the way out and come back in. So he's long. Um, he moves his head to get in position to land body shots. So it's not as easy to hit. He can't get hit in trade. Well, he actually didn't get hit in trades. He keeps his defense up, keeps his defense relatively tight. So this is solid, solid, solid fighter Tank is fighting. And this is Tank going up in weight. Now, Tank is explosive, he's quick, but as Floyd said, and as Tank realized, he needs to box more. I guess such a big fighter like that. Pick his spots to attack. And I think this is an interesting fight. I don't know exactly how it will play out. I have to see it, but here's my understanding. Tank is a lot more explosive, a lot quicker than this other fighter. So the fighter's not as sharp as Tank either. All right. Barrios is still working on his game. He's very promising. The thing about it is he's really big. He's really big. And if Tank don't get to Barrios's body, which I suspect Tank is going to get success with that, especially that's the best place. Now Barrios does protect his body pretty well, though. Keeps his guard down, keeps his elbows tucked in, to protect the body. But still, it'll be interesting. I don't know if this fight will go the distance. I don't know if Tank will stop Barrios. I don't know. Tank has pop. Barrios has pop, by the way. Sets up his shots nice off the jab. Has good pivot work. You could tell Virgil really took his time with him. He's not the fastest guy in the world. He's not the quickest guy in the world, but his timing is on point. And his placement. So that's an interesting combo right there. Okay. So that's why I said this is a very good fight because remember, timing beats speed. Timing beats quickness. Speed kills, but you got to have timing with that speed. and we know Tank has timing. The thing about it is, Barrios is so much longer and taller than Tank is, and so much bigger than Tank is, that I suspect Tank is going to have to use some additional skills to get around Barrios' jab, which I know Tank is equipped with those tools. Um, he was watching at the tips with Floyd versus Logan Paul, how Floyd would cut the distance on Logan Paul and land his shots on him. Again, guys like Floyd and Pacquiao and Canelo, these guys, you cannot stop them with a jab. You can have the longer reach and all of that shit. It's not going to stop them from getting to you because these guys cut angles. It's the angle of approach that makes a big difference in a fight. Now, the only reason, and this is a note to Errol Spence, who I suspect will beat Pacquiao. Floyd's going to be giving them tips and stuff as well. Everybody's going to try and support him. Keith Thurman's got a good word for him as well. I suspect Errol Spence will beat Manny Pacquiao. But here's the thing. You don't beat Manny Pacquiao by standing in front of him. If you plan on standing in front of Manny Pacquiao, going toe-to-toe with Manny Pacquiao, you're going to lose. Why? Because Pacquiao approaches you at different angles. Everybody knows this now, right? He can dip under you. He can pivot around you. He loves to pivot around you. It don't matter if you're southpaw or not. He's just going to change up the angle. So, and he's very explosive. He's very quick on his feet. I mean, ridiculously quick on his feet. I've seen this guy put together 3 steps, and it was like if he threw 3 punches. It was like he covers ground ridiculously fast. Okay, that's the incredible thing about Pacquiao, his speed. But he worked on his combinations, coordination, and everything. But if Errol takes away those angles, whatever Pacquiao does, Errol is able to respond and cut off the angles. It becomes a much easier fight for Errol Spence, right? That ain't as easy as it sounds, 1. And 2, you got to understand, to take away an angle from a guy, we're talking, the angles go like this. So you got this plane here. You got the angles that go this way. And then if you're looking at a plane that's cutting into my camera here, you got angles that go this way. All right. So a guy can divvy off an angle off the vertical, or a guy can divvy off the horizontal. He can go low or he can go high. And if he's going low, that means his hand is coming up. It's going high. He could stay low and shoot low, or he can stay low and shoot high, right? Or he could stay off center line and shoot across the center line. Like how you slip punches, right? You can slip this way and you slip that way. Slip, and then you come back, boom. Or slip, jab. You're slipping and jabbing at the same time as you turn, and you slip and jab again. It's all about angles. And that's just upper body movement we're talking. We're not talking about the foot position, none of that. Because there's 3 planes. There's the horizontal, there's the vertical. There's the vertical, and then there's 2 horizontals. Okay, the 2 horizontal planes. You got the X and Y plane. So if a guy decides to shift across, and change his angle of approach in the XY plane, totally different story. All right. So you can do a combination of those 2. And I just think that, when we look at Floyd walk down Logan Paul, he walked him down for 7 rounds, right? The first round, Logan had his charge at Floyd and stuff, and Floyd just defense held up. That's another thing. Depending on Mario Barrios' defense, it's all about defense always. Depending on Mario Barrios' defense, he could weather the storm and see what Gervonta's doing. Depending on Gervonta's defense, he could weather the storm and see what Mario Barrios is doing. So it's all about the defense. I always tell people, defense wins you fights. And when I say defense, there's a lot of things I want to say. So let me go through something that's really simple that a lot of people do not think about at all. So A lot of times, a lot of you guys out there think good footwork or good fighting, is only or good boxing, should I say, good boxing is only limited to when you are outside the reach of a guy, right? When you're outside the pocket. But you can box inside the pocket. You can infight box inside the pocket. Okay? That's boxing too. All right? There's forms of infighting which are not just swarming or brawling, which are it's boxing. When you're deep in the pocket and you're shoulder to shoulder, but that's boxing too, because it's all about angles, it's all about body position, how you can turn your opponent's body position, because that's another thing. You have to actively fight your opponent. What I mean by that is sometimes you have to bump them, or you have to tie them up to turn them, or you may have to hold them, clinch them to turn them. Okay, and all of these things are a part of boxing. So, for example, when Logan Paul clinched up Floyd, he didn't just clinch him; he clinched him and pushed him to the ropes. He was constantly putting his weight and size on Floyd to tire him out. All right. Sometimes he even try to turn Floyd's hand to tweak something. Okay, because that's what he do. He's a grappler. You got to understand that when you know how to clinch in boxing, that buys you time. It breaks your opponent's rhythm, not just in terms of him being active and punching, but also even if you just tied him up for a second, just a fraction of a second, you just kind of tied him up. You made sure his glove didn't go. You offset his rhythm. You understand? So where he was just about to generate torque to get a punch in there, you kind of threw it off, and therefore he can't throw his combination like he wants to because you broke the rhythm up. So all of these little things are key ingredients in boxing. When we talk about boxing, we're talking about a lot of stuff. And like I was watching Javante Davis as he was, just shadow boxing, and the amount of stuff that guy did and that's in his muscle memory is just ridiculous because it's like you see him jab and pivot off to the side. You see him block while he's jabbing. You see him do a double left, double straight left. He throws combinations, all kinds of combinations. And it's just amazing to watch how these guys, it's so fluent with them and it's in their muscle memory and they can change up the speed, the rhythm of their punches. It's just very interesting. And the other thing I like about Tank that I don't really see in a lot of boxers. A lot of boxers, they shuffle. They shuffle in and out. They'll jump back and forward. And a lot of Mexican fighters do that as well. Even Canelo does it to some degree. Tank keeps both feet on the ground. He shifts his body weight back and forth really beautifully. And the other thing I like about Tank that's really impressive is Tank doesn't bounce. He doesn't bounce around the ring. He pivots around the ring. And that's a key ingredient. See, that's the thing that separates Floyd from a lot of the past greats, right? Floyd didn't bounce around the ring. He didn't lift his body off the ground. I'm gonna tell you all something about that. All right. So if you're doing, say, for example, track and field, and you're sprinting, you want to make as much contact with the earth as possible. The reason is you want to generate as much speed as possible. The other thing is you want to keep your balance as much as possible. You don't want your balance going way to the front or way to the back. So if you're just leaping off the ground into the air, that's where you get the most resistance. You want to be able to make contact with a solid surface so you can actually transverse through the air. When you're transversing through the air and running, that's when you're actually slowing down more because you generate the force and it's about now getting that turnover to generate the force again. So what I'm trying to say and explain to people is when you're a power puncher, like Tank is, but explosive power puncher, you want to keep your feet in contact with the ground as much as possible so that you can explode at any point in time, which is why Tank makes small steps as well. You'll notice he makes small steps. You saw Floyd Mayweather make small steps. Pacquiao makes small steps. That's because they're explosive fighters. So whether they're inching in on you or they're inching back, and I say inching because you can inch in really quickly or you can inch in very, methodically and deceptively. But these are two ingredients. Now, Tank got a lot of things that go good for him. He's got, he's God gifted, and then on top of that, he just has these extraordinary skill sets. The question will be, when he faces Mario Barrios, yes, how he looks, of course, how he performs, but in addition, can he utilize the skill sets he has? He cannot fight Mario Barrios like how he fought Leo Santa Cruz. The major reason is, one, Mario Barrios is bigger, so he hits harder. But two, you can't get hit like that, like how he got hit with Leo. He bullied Leo to some degree after he realized what was going on, and Barrios was going to take a couple things out of. I'm sure Virgil Hunter is going to take a couple things out of Leo Santa Cruz's playbook. The right hand was working for Leo, and the question is, can Mario Barrios land that right hand? And the other thing is, Mario Barrios doesn't just focus on the right hand. He throws a lot of body shots. He throws a lot of left hooks and stuff. So it's not as straightforward as it sounds. And that's why I said, looking at this young promising fighter, he knows he's going to step up to the game. There's an opportunity of a lifetime facing a smaller guy who is recognized and now on pay per view and taking on that challenge. Still developing as a fighter. Um, how is that going to turn out with Tank versus Barrios? Once again, Tank is a special fighter. We're going to see. I mean, you just look at him and you see that he's very special. Uh, and it'll be interesting to see how a fight like that plays out. So that's what I got to say about that. Um, yeah, that's all I got for now. That's an intriguing fight. It's not the fights that the fans would want to see, but it's definitely, after you do your homework, you realize Mary Barris ain't no pushover. This dude never been stopped, never been dropped, ever in his career. He is a fighter who's smart, so he can stay behind his jab, he can stay at range, or he can walk in on you. Once he finds the entry points, he's going to come in on you and he's going to try and walk you down, push you back. He's going to stay at the end of his stick. He stays at the end of his stick. He's got decent pivot work. Does get hit sometimes. So this is all interesting to me. Um, um, has a tendency to want to throw certain punches, which Tank may capitalize on. So we'll see how it all pans out. But by and large, I'm looking forward to that fight. I really am. I think that's an underrated, good, solid fight. When I look at Virgil Hunter as his trainer, I say, oh, this is Virgil Hunter is a scientist. So, and Barrios looks like he listens to him. So I can't see. I'm telling y'all right now, this ain't as easy a fight as it seems on paper. Um, and I think this is going to be a good fight. That, and on the card, there's another very good fight, which is going to be Erickson Lubin versus Jason Rosario. We'll see if Rosario rebounds from his knockout loss, and hopefully he's more committed. And Rosario brings a lot to the table, as does Lubin. That's a good undercard right there. That's a good fight right there. So two solid fights. Two solid fights. One is not really a championship fight, but it's a kind of like a championship caliber kind of interim championship kind of thing fight, which is Tank versus Mario Barrios. And then we got the other fight, which is going to be a good one. It's going to be Erickson Lubin versus Jason Rosario. I can't tell you who's going to win that fight, and that's a good fight as well. Rosario is coming out of a knockout loss, so I don't know if that's a good thing for him. But Rosario has skills as well, so I'm looking forward to seeing how Lubin does against Rosario, how Tank does against Barrios. That's going to be Those are going to be the good fights, and we'll see what happens with that. You know what I mean? Anyways, man, this is what you need in the building. Just wanted to share that with you guys. I spent a little longer than I thought I was going to spend, but that's all right. I'm gonna catch you guys later. Peace.